beautiful soul. Welcome to Frequency of Love, the podcast where we explore identity, intimacy, desire, and the quiet courage it takes to live as your truest self. I'm Mistress Anna, founder of KinK Academy and LOV Association, BDSM educator, certified coach, holistic therapist, and someone who has spent over a decade in the room with people doing the most important work of their lives. And that is the work of knowing themselves. I hold 10 formal qualifications in psychotherapy and counseling, NLP, EFT, and life coaching, the psychology of human sexuality, couples and relationship therapy, identity and self-discovery, tantric and spiritual practice, and LGBTQ+ identity exploration. And I have spent more than 10 years in professional practice, not just studying this territory, but living inside it. And LOV Association is a space we build for people who are ready to stop performing and start becoming. A community grounded in self-awareness, emotional well-being, conscious relationships, and the freedom to explore without judgment, without shame, with full respect for who you are. Each week, we come here together for a soul conversation. Not just information, but something that lands deeper, something that stays. Welcome to another soul conversation. Now take a deep breath with me. Let's relax a bit. Inhale and exhale. Arrive here today. I want to talk about something that lives so close to us. We often can't see it at all. And that is conditioning. The invisible architecture of expectations, rules, and scripts that society builds around us before we are old enough to question any of it. And I want to ask you something. How much of the life you are living right now did you actually choose? Now, just sit with that a bit. And not as an accusation, but as an invitation. Because conditioning is not something that happens to bad families or broken cultures. It happens everywhere, to everyone. It is the collection of messages we absorb. Messages about who we should be, how we should look, what we should want, who we are allowed to love, what kind of life counts as a good life. And these messages come from everywhere. They can come from everywhere. They can come from our parents, not because they were cruel, but because they were passing on what was passed to them. It can come from religion, from culture, from school, from the media we consumed, from the silence around certain topics, from the way some things were celebrated and other things were never spoken of at all. And here is the thing about conditioning that makes it so powerful. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't say, here is a rule you must follow. It simply shapes the air you breathe until one day you realize you have been living inside someone else's idea of what your life should look like. And you didn't even know it was a cage, because it was built to look like the whole world. And I have a story to tell about Sara. Sara was 34 when we first met, and she had grown up in a family where the path was clear. Study hard, find a stable job, marry a good person, have children. Be grateful. And Sara had followed that path, every step of it. And not because she was weak, but because she loved her family, because she didn't want to disappoint her family, because somewhere deep inside her, she was absorbed the belief that her needs mattered less than the image of the family as a whole. And there was something else inside Sara. It was a curiosity she had never been allowed to name. A longing for connection that went deeper than the surface. A part of her that wanted to explore her identity, her desires, her voice, in ways that had no name in the world she had grown up in. And when Sara finally said it out loud for the first time, in a circle of people that heard her and accept her, she cried. And not from sadness, from relief. The relief of being heard, the relief of discovering that the thing she had been carrying in silence was not shameful, it was human. Sara didn't burn her life down, she didn't leave everything behind, she simply began slowly and carefully to make room for herself inside her own life. And that changed everything. Now, conditioning works through scripts that tell us what a woman should be, what a man should be, what desire should look like, what love is allowed to look like, what a body should look like, what success should look like. And we inherit these scripts so young, so completely, that we begin to mistake them from our own voice. The voice that says you are too much, the voice that says your desires are wrong, the voice that says people like you don't get to have that, the voice that says be grateful for what you have and stop wanting more. Now I want you to hear this clearly. That voice is not you. It is the voice of every person who was ever afraid of your freedom. Every system that benefited from your smallness, every moment that taught you that being yourself was not safe, you absorbed it, you internalized it, and it became the background noise of your inner world. But background noise can be turned down, and eventually silenced. Now here is what conditioning cannot touch. No matter how thorough the programming, no matter how deep the conditioning runs, there is something in you that remains unconditioned. The mystic in you. We can call it the soul, we can call it consciousness. I simply call it the part of you that knows. The part that has always known, even quietly, even from a distance, that the script didn't quite fit, that the role felt slightly too tight, that there was something more alive in you than the life you were performing. That knowing is not a malfunction, it is your true self, pressing gently against the walls of what you were told to be. And that is the nature of your true self. It does not demand, it does not force, it simply shines quietly, persistently, waiting for you to stop blocking the light, Breaking free from conditioning is not an act of rebellion. It is an act of remembrance. And you are not creating something new. You are returning to something ancient, something old, something that was always already there, beneath the roles, beneath the rules, beneath the fear. So how do you start? Not with a dramatic break, not by burning everything down. You just start with a question. The question actually is very simple. Now, it's not easy, but it's simple. Now ask yourself, where in my life am I living for someone else's approval? Not in judgment, in genuine curiosity. Where are you shrinking yourself to make others comfortable? Where are you saying yes when your whole body means no? Where are you performing a version of yourself that you have never actually chosen? And then, this is the part that matters. Just notice it. You don't have to change it immediately. You don't have to announce it to anyone. Just notice. Because awareness is the first act of freedom. The moment you can see the cage, it is no longer invisible. And something that is no longer invisible can be examined, can be questioned, can in time be released. Now, authenticity does not arrive all at once. It comes in small moments. A truth spoken where you would have stayed silent. A boundary held where you would have collapsed. A desire named where you would have buried. One small moment of your true self. And then another, and then another, and then comes another. And I want to leave you with this. Society will always have an opinion about who you should be. It will always have a script ready for you. A box, a label, a category, a set of expectations. And you are allowed to look at all of it and choose what is yours. You are allowed to keep what serves you. You are allowed to lovingly, gently, firmly put down what doesn't. You are not obliged to live inside the story that was written before you even arrived. You are here, you are alive, and you are conscious. And that means you have the capacity to choose. At LOV Association, we hold space for exactly this, for the people who are ready to stop performing and start living. KinK Academy, our workshops, courses, our community space, they exist for you, for the version of you that is done shrinking. Now take a deep breath with me. And just notice what is stirring inside you. No need to rush it, just feel. Thank you for being here with me. This is the Frequency of Love. I'm Mistress Anna, and I will meet you again in the next soul conversation.